Hi everyone. Recently I listened to a sermon by Father Michael Papley. He's a parish priest in Australia, Divine Australia, I believe is his parish name. And it really opened my heart to many truths of Christian living and where we should place our hope in. I thought I'd share what he said today in this video. And since the original one was many years ago, I think I'll leave the link in the description if you want to check it out, but the audio is not that good. So here's how it started. Father was on a flight and everything was okay at the start, but suddenly there was quite a bad turbulence and he saw that everyone was afraid. And he looked at everyone's faces and there were many reactions. Some were praying in their own language and some were just holding on to the seats, not knowing what to do, and the kids were screaming and people were very worried. And I once thought about this. Everyone has a pride, but aren't we all the same when we're afraid? When life is threatened, we tend to beg for help in these times, and I find myself needing to cling on to something, and so are these people too. For those who did not have a particular faith or did not believe in a God, in their fear, in the times of fear, they had nothing to look forward to. People who don't exactly have a belief in hold on to a structure created by men. For this case, it was the aeroplane that they were holding on to, hoping that it will make it through the turbulence. But in difficult times, when these man-made structures start to fall apart, people might need something more to hold on to. For us Christians and Catholics, we have faith and we have a hope to cling on to. Father talks about a friend he used to know. He is an atheist and he feels that faith is an absolute waste of time. His friend met with an accident one day and he was stuck in a car and the lorry was coming to hit the car. And he couldn't get out, the car was stuck, the doors were locked, and he tried, but he couldn't. And at that moment, Father said that his friend was overcome with a great sorrow, as if it was all over, and he thought to himself, so this is it, my car's too sore, it's too small, I won't survive, it's all over. And when Father said this, it really struck me, just like how it struck Father too. To really be at that moment that you know that it's over, what do we hold on to? Is there hope? For me, I had an absurd dream before. It was me falling all the way down from the building. In the last few moments, it felt very real, and I could just think about my whole life and the regret that came along with it. It was a very different feeling to just experience that. It's the last few moments of my life. Now, maybe this is quite far away from it happening in real life, but we can only imagine what will go through our minds if we're in this situation. Is there something to cling on? Fast forward many years from now, one thing is for sure, that our life will come to an end. So, in our times of fear, what do we cling on to? There is a hope for us. There is a greater hope for us Christians, that we have something to hold on to, that is God in our fear. So Father continues to say, a person who believes and a person who does not goes through sickness and pain. If you go to church, will you have sickness and pain? If you pray every day, will you have sickness and pain? But if you're not a Catholic, if you're not a Christian, and you don't go to church, will you still experience sickness and pain? Then he said, what is the difference? Why waste time coming to church? But he said this was because this is life. Life has its own burdens and processes. Father brings up a very important point that I really like. He says that we should not cling on only to the fact that Jesus heals, because when we fall sick, we will get very disappointed in him. Father once went to someone's house for a blessing, and he walked in, entered the room, but the lady rejected him. She said, "Get out." Father thought, wow, why? And she said, "I've been going to church, praying the rosary fervently and following his commandments, but I'm still ill." And that lady was 85, almost 85 years old. I think what I reflected here is how we treat obtaining healing as if it's the ultimate benchmark of how strong our faith is. I'm sure there's much more to the Lord that we believe in, and many bigger promises than physical blessings. And it took me a long time to even come to the understanding of this, and I still struggle with it every day. I used to have a terrible sharp pain at the back of my head for a long time when I was younger, and make me shudder whenever it came, like a electrifying jab in the head. Definitely I was worried, and I prayed, and it stuck with me even when I was in mass, in the adoration room, or even before I went to bed. Everywhere, no matter how hard I prayed, it never got away, and I got so sad and dejected. As time passed, I continued to just offer it up in prayer and began to focus on God rather than His healing that I wanted so badly, and I couldn't let my hands off it. I wanted healing. He slowly showed me that there was much more than His healing that I was looking for when I came to Him. And the moment I stopped looking for that healing and I came looking for Him, He touched my heart and He healed me in a different way that I did not expect. He healed me of something deeper, my fear. So Jesus heals time and time again at intervals so that faith increases, as Father says. He's not all about healing, so Father makes a very strong point. Don't make Jesus so small. He's not just about healing. Jesus heals time and time again at intervals so that faith increases. Jesus is not about healing. Father says this really strong point. He says, don't make Jesus so small. And I was lying a bit back then with my earpiece on listening to this, and I just stopped the audio track, got up and smiled to myself, and I thought, wow, this is something that I hope everyone can hear, and I'm so thankful that God said this to me today. That's such a real statement to me. Don't make Jesus so small. And all along I was just looking at Jesus. Healing, healing, healing. Even if I told myself I wanted more, I guess we all tend towards look towards the material side of things in our minds. So it's a struggle that I go through, and maybe you might feel it too, but I hope we can work on this together. It really helped me to think about striving towards heaven. What could God have done in store for me that is greater than all my problems and worries? Because I always want instant gratification. Now. I don't need heaven now. I can't see it anyways. How do you think about it? How about I think about it another time and ask for something else for today? Ask for healing today. So as I watched the video, I asked myself, what is a greater thing than healing? And intuitively it's heaven, right? But I just wanted to hear it because I struggle with really attaching myself to this place that I can't even see. My whole life poured out just for somewhere I've never been to. Hard, right? But okay, that doesn't mean that we can't ask for healing, but let us know that something greater than healing. When Jesus came into the world, all through the gospel, He was constantly proclaiming the kingdom of God, not just healing. That was what Father went on with. I am going to my Father's house. There is a lot of room. He did not say He was preparing a room here. Healing is not the difference between people who believe and people who do not. I realized that our faith is so much more. Let's all just take some time together to appreciate how much more we have than just healing. The room in this Father's house, in our Father's house, is what we should hold on to. The promise He has for us. What really defines us Christians is, definitely we have God's healing, but we have something more to look forward to. We can look forward past all these material blessings in the world to something greater. A room for us in heaven. Father emphasizes this room. And he says, it's easy to hear about healing and inspiring miracles, but if we do not understand the essence of what our belief is, we'll be a broken individual when brokenness comes. There is nothing more than sorrow in these moments, as there is no room, no promise to look forward to, the room that He's building up for us. And if you understand this essence of this promise that God has made for us, even when brokenness comes and pain, sadness comes, you have something to hold on to. Maybe climbing a step is difficult, and yes, I've struggled so many times along the way, but the Lord promises that He'll be there for us like a support, like a railing, so we can hold on to it to make the next step. Father says, does the railing go up as a lift? Will it push you? Will it nudge you? No, it won't. The Lord sends us a support, but we have to take the next step. When we go through our pains, the next step is painful. The Lord says that He will be there so that we can hold on to Him. To hold on to Him, every difficulty that comes along, I will have to carry it. We will have to carry it to make the next step. The Lord did not promise a world full of suffering, pain or sickness, but He promises one thing: I will be with you till the end of times. In the last words of the Gospel of Matthew, when Jesus is ascending to heaven, He says, I will be with you till the end of times. This is the promise we cling on to, we hold on to, the room that Jesus has set aside for us in heaven. When we are facing our fears, when we feel that our life is at threatened, when our life is threatened, what do you hold on to? The room, the promise that God has for us in our fear. So the story in the Bible goes as the disciples were in a boat with Jesus, and everyone has heard this, and there was a storm. They looked at Jesus and the struggles and got so irritated. Father asked us the question, why do you think they were irritated? And in my mind straight away went along with, the man was sleeping, Jesus was sleeping, and so were the audience all raising up their hands saying that Jesus was sleeping. Father says that actually they were not irritated because they were sleeping. He says, wasn't he sleeping before the storm started? Wasn't he already asleep? Did he go to sleep just when the storm started? No. They were actually angry because they didn't want to die. These very same people who are afraid of drowning in the boat were now not scared anymore. Father draws this very nice connection between these two stories, and I was so amazed. And he says that these people knew there was something beautiful ahead of them, something they could hold on to even in their fear, something special. That was what gave them strength. That was what made the change. There was something to look forward to because of their faith. What they went through in this world no longer affected them. They no longer saw that death was the end of their life. They lived freely and generously, as sacrifice no longer ate into their physical bodies, because they knew they had a room to look forward to. Their soul would live forever. Sacrifice is fine because there's something more that they could live on to with. And Father ends off with this. It's really nice, and I'll share with you too. All of us, you and I, all have something to look forward to. Jesus will give us His blessings for sure, and the healings will come. But let us not be the only thing we cling on to in Jesus. And when people ask us, so why do you go to church? Why do you hold on to God? Let us hope that our answer might not be because Jesus is healer, but because we have so many more things to hold on to. We have so many promises that Jesus made us that are far greater than this. The room in heaven, the promise that He will be with us, the promise that He has more things in store for us. So Father ends off with this question that I found my answer after hearing all this. He says, so if you don't get the healings, will you still go to church?